In November 1938, the area where Eugene's family lived was given back to Hungary. On 19th of March 1944, German forces occupied Hungary completely. Immediately, all Hungarian Jews were ordered to wear the Star of David. Within 10 days, the Jewish population was moved into the ghettos. Eugene's house was within a ghetto area, so his family took other people into their home. First, they came for the socialists. I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. We believe that all our lives that are separate as if others don't affect. The connections we make and how we get is interlocked with all of those who surround us, and every action is a consequence that gives way to a ripple effect. On the 14th of May, Eugene was returning home from school. 200 yards away from home, he saw a German military lorry outside the family home with his two sisters and father on board. He saw an SS man hit his mother across the face and push her into the lorry. Eugene wasn't allowed into the house and was forced onto the lorry with the rest of his family and other Jewish people from the ghetto. The lorry was driven to a nearby brickyard where Jewish population was being forcibly gathered together. Eugene and his family were ordered into railway cattle trucks and they're transported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. Eugene was swiftly separated from his mother and sisters and from his father. After being completely shaved and showered, he was given his number 55546 and a striped uniform. It had been cold. Today, however, it was a different story altogether. The temperature had been at least -5. The doors frozen solid, and icicles hung from the ceiling of the cell. Water dripped from them, 2 at a second, intervals. Tap, tap, tap. It used to drive him crazy, but now he was immune to it. 10 hours. It was probably sometime towards the end of February 1942. He wasn't sure. The last time he had any real idea of date was back home in Berlin, 4 years ago. Then they'd come in the middle of the night to round up men in the Jewish quarter since he'd been dragged from his wife and children. He had heard nothing of them since. He was a philosophy lecturer and thought many times he could return from the university to find his wife Maria waiting on the doorstep, the children in her arms. They'd spend the cold winter evenings on the settee in front of the coal fire as Maria rested her head on his shoulder, and they would while away the hours talking about the day and listening to the wireless. The children would be playing at their feet. He looked outside. The morning's clear skies had given way to a mass dense of gray clouds. The snow drifted down with ever-increasing ferocity. In the distance, a dove tried to brave the conditions. He was stopped in his thoughts by the sound of boots at the door. A key turned, and 3 bolts snapped back. After some shoving and kicking, the ice jamming the door shattered. It creaked open. He prayed for it not to be Kleist. His heart was beating rapidly. Kleist marched in. Behind him followed a guard. Yossi... I went too far. Yossi hadn't seen before. "What did you say to me, Hans, yesterday?" Kleins bellowed as he moved towards the prisoner. "My food," Yossi murmured. He was a young man in his early 20s, tall, with soft, pleasant face. Yes, he was not unattractive, the guard with Kleist, 9 hours. He couldn't have been more different from his companion. Kleist was a portly, middle-aged man, a fat nose and diminutive brown eyes dominated his freckled face. "I can't even take a break now. I don't come for one day. One day, you're already throwing insults at me. I'll give you some food." He punched Yossi in the abdomen, and he fell against the wall. "What insults?" "I didn't," Yossi said. "Don't give me that." "What insults?" he snapped. "All you yids are the same." "I didn't say anything," Yossi replied. Then all of a sudden he broke into tears. He realized that it was coming, and he couldn't take it today. He begged the guard not to beat him. "I'm sorry. Please don't hit me. I didn't mean it. I wasn't about you." Kleist grabbed his hair and flung him across the cell. He knew the minute he'd come out of his mouth he'd have to pay for it. He had meant it. Hans had brought his lunch. It was Kleist's day off, and he had been thinking all morning about family. Bursting the guards in his mind wasn't enough. He wanted to let them know. Okay, cut that part.
Wait, what?
Kleist pulled out a knife from his belt. He slashed Yossi's face. Yossi managed to save himself, just by stumbling back onto a wall. And now he was cornered. He concentrated on the knife as it closed in on him, eyed it devilishly, and moved nearer and nearer. "Sir, don't," the other guard pleaded. Yossi trembled. Kleist thrust the knife into him. He dropped to the floor with a thick redness flowed from his stomach. Everything was happening so quickly now. His head was spinning. He was begging for mercy. I'm sorry. He could see a white haziness coming down. The knife was being thrust at him. "What the hell?" Kleist muttered. "You're not worth it," and turned back. "Clear the shit and let's get out of here," Kleist ordered his companion, gesturing to a tin box in the corner. The guard walked over and picked up the container. according to the rules, was supposed to be slopped out every other day. But Kleist was never obeyed the rules, only used to do it every once a week. Recently, he hadn't done it for a fortnight, and when Yossi had complained it was overspilling and saying all he had got was a reply with a kick in the stomach, the guard began walking out with the box, but then his senior summoned him back. On second thoughts, give it to me, I'll clear it. He snatched the box and dumped its contents over Yossi. Kleist's laughter echoed around the cell, and wishes rolled around the prisoner's body. He finally stopped guffawing and signaled to the guard that they were finished. Yossi cleared his eyes and stared at the two of them as they walked out. No food, another beating, begging for mercy, and reduced to tears again. Just then, the young guard glanced back, and the pupils met for a tenth, 100th of a second. I'm just a conscript. I have nothing against you or the Jews. His morose eyes seemed to be indicating, I want to get out of this hell as bad as you. As Kleist turned around the door, Yossi noticed a sign on his shoulder, the emblem of peace and goodwill, the symbol of hope and joy. He stared at the red and black swastika. It had certainly given him much joy. The door clanged chunk, and the 3 bolts were snapped back. 8 hours. Yossi's eyes remained transfixed on the door after it had shut. How much time is left?
You have 6 minutes and 9 seconds right now.
Yossi's eyes remained transfixed on the long door after it had shut. Kleist hadn't hesitated. Why? Why hadn't he stabbed him the second time? Yossi wouldn't have minded. He couldn't understand why we were keeping him alive. To keep him suffering because he had campaigned against Hitler and written a couple of lousy anti-Nazi pamphlets? He smiled. He wanted to die, but they wouldn't let him. Were they dead? He knew Nazis rounded up the women and children a few hours later. But what had they done to him? One of the guards, Spa, said that the women and kids were taken to Treblanka and had been. He didn't, he wouldn't, he couldn't believe him. Time and time again, he'd ask God about his family. Where was Maria and Johann? Where was his dear little Tanya? But God never seemed to hear. Where was he, Yossi wondered. Just stop it there. I'm going to change it.